Hello, YouTube. It's Chuck again. It's still Saturday, November 12th, and right now I'm coming to you from my front porch. It's kind of cold out today. It's in the 50s, but this porch faces to the south, and the sun's out, and it's actually kind of pleasant out here. So, figured I'd try shooting one from here and see how that works. If you wonder what the flag is, let me tilt this. If you wonder what the flag is up there, that's actually a what we call the thin red line flag, which is a tribute to firefighters. And I actually made that out of wood scraps. And anyway, want to talk another firefighter story this morning. And one of the toughest calls that we have to handle are what we call kid calls. And a kid call is obviously a call involving a child, usually a medical call of some kind. And unfortunately, a lot of them are tragic. The other day when I was up at Kevin's house and we filmed the one about the carbon monoxide fatality, it brought to mind another call in that same neighborhood that I actually did respond to. And give you some background on that is after I retired from the fire department in the town that I live in, I ran a wildfire risk reduction program for 14 years. And one summer, as a part of that, I was approached by Northern Arizona University to monitor bug traps. We had a couple of dry seasons, and we had an infestation of bark beetles that were killing a lot of our pine trees. And of course, we cherish our pine trees, and we didn't like it much. And so, but the bug beetles kind of ran rampant there for a couple of years. And so the one summer, Northern Arizona University out of Flagstaff wanted to put bug traps in various locations in this area, and they needed somebody to monitor them once a week. So I agreed to do that. And so I placed 20 bug traps in various locations. And then once a week, I'd have my route that I would go and I would empty them all, and every bug trap went into a little bag. And when I got done, I shipped them all back up to Flagstaff, and the entomologists up there could take a look at them and see what kind of bugs they were catching. The dominant bug species that was killing all our trees is something actually called the Arizona five-spine ip. And it ran rampant here for a couple of years. They're always around, but that's a video for even another time. But as a part of that route, and that route was over 100 miles every day I did that. The last one of my stops was the fire station up there near where Kevin lives, and it's actually just right around the corner from Kevin's house. And I had a bug trap there, and so generally when I'd stop and empty that one, I'd stick my head in the door and say hi to the crew that worked there, and we all knew each other, of course. And so one day I stopped in my normal rounds there, and their chief at the time, he happened to be there as well. So we were kind of standing there talking, and all of a sudden they got a call, and the call was for an accidental shooting involving a child. So the crew jumped in the ambulance and pulled out, and the chief told me, he says, "Chuck, come with me." So I got in his car, and we responded to the scene, which was about 3/4 of a mile from the station. So we got there within probably 3 minutes. And the crew jumped out of the ambulance and they went inside. Now, to set the stage for this, the house was on a very steep hillside, and it was on the downhill side. And there was what we call a daylight basement, and the main floor of the house was on the second level, which was actually level with the road. To get to the front porch, there was about a 20-foot long wooden bridge that went from road level across to the porch. It was about 3 feet wide, and that's how you got to the front door. So they all got out of their vehicles, of course, and went rushing inside. And it wasn't my call. I didn't want to clutter up the scene. I had a feeling it was going to be bad. And so I stayed on the roadside of that bridge. And they no sooner got in the door, and the door came back open again, and one of the paramedics came running across that bridge carrying about an 8-year-old boy. And one of the things I remember about that thing was the absolute look of terror in his eyes. Now, I knew this medic. I'd known him for years. He was very competent, he was very cool, calm, and collected. But he had kids, and and he had one right around that same age group as this one. And the look of terror in his eyes was just something absolutely amazing. I looked down as he went by. I looked down at the little child, and he had a bullet hole right in the middle of his chest, right over his heart. Uh, I knew immediately he was not going to survive. And they put him in the ambulance. And the chief at the time was also a paramedic. He handed me his radio, and he asked me to go to an open area about a half a mile away and set up a landing zone and act as the ground contact for the medical helicopter, which I did. And the helicopter came. We flew the kid, and as we suspected, he didn't survive. And what it turned out is he had a younger brother, and his younger brother somehow got a hold of the gun and ended up accidentally shooting him. The whole thing was tragic, but the thing that stuck in my head for the longest time was the absolute look of terror in that paramedic's eyes when he had a kid that same age. And I know from, I've had a number of guys that work for me, and they had kids that same age. And the kid calls are terrible because when you look at it, if you go on a call where a kid got hit by a car and you got one that same age, when you look at that kid laying there, you see your own kid. And it can be absolutely terrifying. I was a little, I guess, more fortunate in that regard. I've never had children, and I was better able to handle the kid calls than some other people. I have my own demons, and I'll talk about that sometime on another video. But for the purposes of this one, this happened quite a number of years ago, and the people, all the people involved, have pretty much moved on with their lives. But I thought it'd be an interesting story to tell. It's another tragic thing that you firefighters and medical people, they have to deal with that, and we all tend to carry some of that baggage in our hearts after it's all over and done with. So I'll close this video for right now. Be kind to each other, love each other. As always, do what makes you happy. It's an absolutely gorgeous day today. Life is good. And we'll talk to you again soon, and peace out.